And we have another lovely young lady who is a writer. She is a writer of really interesting books because they're just a little off the regular ones, and that's what I like so much. And her name is Ashlyn Drewek. Hello, Ashlyn.
Hello, Carol. How are you?
I'm just fine, and I'm so glad to have you on because
Yeah.
I do some writing myself, so I'm really, really interested in writing. And when did you start thinking you would want to be a writer?
I was really young. I was probably in fourth or fifth grade. We had to do writing assignments in school. And then my sister and I started writing stories together just for our own amusement. And it was just kind of something we did for fun. And then I grew up and got a job in the real world, and I just couldn't stop making up stories in my head. So I started writing them down.
Oh, that's
And
fantastic. You
here
know,
we are.
so many people start really young. It's amazing to me. I ask people, and there maybe some of them start when they're 4 years old wanting to write. And that is just amazing to me. I didn't start writing till I was in my 80s.
Wow.
So I took a little, took a little longer, but I did a lot of acting and stuff like that, which was fun. So, but anyway, I love it, and I'm sure you do too.
Yes,
And
I
I
do.
and I asked you before we started on what kind of books you wrote, and I was really interested in your answer. And what kind of books do you write?
I write in a genre called dark romance.
Oh,
So it is it's a love story, but they tackle darker themes, like post-traumatic stress disorder and mental health issues and
oh,
dark family sagas, that sort of thing.
oh my gosh, that sounds so interesting. I love that instead of just the regular romance because we see that on Hallmark and all. Everybody falls in love, and it's all so wonderful. But to have the exciting something in the background there, that is really exciting to me. Tell me about one of the stories a little bit, just how you got into bringing the darkness into it.
Well, I'll start with my most recent book. So it's called The Mystery of Leander Wells,
Oh,
and it is about a criminal psychiatrist who gets assigned to evaluate an alleged murderer before his trial starts. And over the course of her evaluating him, she falls in love with him.
oh my gosh.
So, and throughout the book, you're wondering, is he a murderer? Is he not a murderer? Like, is she crazy for falling in love with him? So it's a very complicated relationship.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's really interesting. I like that.
Yes. And if you like Edgar Allan Poe, the main character, Leander Wells, is obsessed with Edgar Allan Poe. So there's like elements
Oh.
of Poe stories like kind of woven throughout the narrative, which I really like because I like Poe.
Oh, that sounds exciting. I haven't. I don't think I've run into books like that before, and I'm gonna want to read that because it's different for me. I'll read some love stories or history about somebody, but not the same thing. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, it is. It's dark. I mean, I tackle themes like abuse and self harm, and obviously mental health since he's in a psychiatric institution. But I feel like these topics are important, and if you can add in the love element, it just makes it all that more human. You
Oh,
know, the
yes.
villains need love too.
I think it's wonderful that you're doing that because a lot of people would be a little afraid to handle that. That's very serious stuff, and it's stuff that happens more than we would like it to. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know this. Always hurts me so much is all of these men who kill these young teenage girls because they're beautiful. That one really bothers me.
Yeah. So I hope people like Leander. I hope they understand him a little bit more by the end of the book, but we'll see.
Yeah,
If,
well, yeah, it's got to be hard because they're bad, but you've got to have a little bit of understanding for them in there somewhere, right?
right.
Yeah, that must be hard to do. So,
Yeah.
are you starting a new book at all?
I'm actually writing, I call it the companion piece to that book I just said. So this book is all from the female's perspective. Her name's Lorelai.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm writing it's the same book, but now it's being told from Leander's point of view. So
Wow.
you'll get you'll get to be inside his head for a change and
What a
see
great
why.
idea. That's a great idea. Oh my gosh, that's wonderful.
So that will hopefully be the next book that comes out.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. I'm so glad that you're doing that because it just, so many times you just get one side of it and you don't get the other. So this is really fantastic. I'm glad you're doing that. Have you studied stuff like that about how people are or,
Um, yes and no. I have a big interest in psychology and mental health.
mhm.
Um, in my day job, I'm a first responder. I work with law enforcement, and I'm very into PTSD and suicide awareness and stuff like that. My sister is a social worker. She's very into suicide awareness and mental health. So it's a topic that's close to my heart, and if I can draw attention to it through reading or through literature, then all the better, because I think it's so stigmatized that you know, we need to get past that if people are going to reach out for help.
Yes, we really do. Oh, I'm so glad that you have that attitude about it, though, that you will bring this out to make people aware of how much it happens.
Yeah,
I think it happens more than people think.
yeah.
And
That was the basis of my very first book that I put out. Is called Out of the Dark, and it's about vampires, but it's also about they're two Chicago police officers, and they deal with PTSD. And so, yes, there are vampires in it, but it mostly deals with their partnership and the PTSD element, and learning to trust again after a traumatic experience. So I wrote that specifically for a friend who said, "Why don't you write a book about cops?" And so I did. And but then I put a note in the back to all my fellow law enforcement people with resources of where they can reach out and get help, because mental health in the policing community is just terrible.
Oh,
Nobody wants
really?
to reach out and get help, and I want them
Oh.
to get help.
Oh, I had a cousin who was a little stinker when he was young, and he became a cop, and I thought, boy, he must have been a fun cop. Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
it's a hard job. It's
it
a
is.
hard job, and
It is.
it's not only hard, but it's dangerous. So to give some honor to these people is really wonderful. So I'm just so glad that you're writing these books. And
Thank
where
you.
can we get the books?
Pretty much anywhere. Amazon is the biggest retailer. You can get them in print or ebook. They're on Barnes and Noble,
Oh, good.
Kobo, um, Apple Books. Pretty much every major retailer I've tried to upload to the platform. So that way it can be accessible no matter where you are.
Well, Ashlyn, I'm so glad you came on the program today because I think what you're doing is really brave, and you have to really know what you're doing to take a chance on that, because you could turn people just the opposite way from the way you wanted them if you didn't know what you were doing.
Yeah.
So wonderful. I'm so grateful for those books, and I know that people are going to want to buy them.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It was such an honor.
Yeah, so please come on again. The next time, the next book, come on about that too, because we want to hear about that too. Okay?
Gladly.
Okay, Ashlyn. So thank you so much.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, Carol.
Okay. We'll be right back.